Hello, I'm Gator McKlusky, and this is the Burt Reynolds story. Chapter 8.
Well, Gator McKlusky is sitting on a stump with the hammer pulled back on the 12-gauge pump, watching that swamp, looking out for the law. Well, it makes the best horn that you ever saw.
I'm probably the only guy in the world who's had the kind of popularity that I've had in spite of a lot of movies and not because of them. And I think that's because a lot of people, I don't know why, have believed in me. And I'm trying now not to let them down. I'm trying to do really good work and do what they wanted. I mean, you know, I'm making pictures for them, not for me. After Stoker, Loni brought over her bags and her stuff each time she spent the night. People magazine described us as the quintessential blend of beefcake and cheesecake. I know that's true because I read it in People magazine. It's great to have a magazine like that, isn't it? A magazine for people that can't read. They just look at people.
The papers have been full of you two. How serious is it?
We're just very good friends.
You need a fella for that, huh?
Yeah, I need this one for that.
Trailed by paparazzi and reporters, the Countess was convinced she'd finally arrived. The non-stop publicity also enabled me to make believe nothing had changed in my career.
1984 was quite a year in entertainment. There was excellent music, unforgettable TV shows, along with classic films such as Ghostbusters.
He slimed me.
The Karate Kid.
How did you do that?
Don't know.
Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. The Terminator.
Hurry up, quicker!
And Beverly Hills Cop. Burt planned on bouncing back from two box office disasters by returning in a sequel to one of his biggest hits.
And just finished a film with Burt Reynolds, Cannonball II.
The Cannonball Run made a shitload of money, so it was only a matter of time before they made a sequel.
There is no Cannonball Run this year, so buy one.
After the writing-directing team of Hal Needham and Al Ruddy failed to light up the box office with the film Megaforce,
Oh, shit.
they added Harvey Miller to the writing team and tried to convince the studio to finance another star-studded Cannonball picture.
Now, Hal, before we do anything here, I gotta take a quick look at your last picture. I haven't heard good things.
What are you talking about? High tech?
So you got another masterpiece script for me over here, I see, Hal.
I'm telling you, man, this screenplay is the best thing I've ever written.
Well, the bar isn't very high. I mean, our quality control expert over there just took a hot shit on page 3.
But it's so damn funny. You'll see.
Bullshit.
With the folks at Golden Harvest financing again, Burt Reynolds teamed up with Hal Needham for one final car chase picture, The Cannonball Run II, their sixth film together.
We can't take nuns off. We're driving along, and I see a pretty girl just hitchhiking. She wants to get in the car, a little action. I mean, because nuns along, I'm good, but I'm not that good.
Many of Burt's friends from the first film returned for this sequel, including Captain Chaos,
Lie, baby!
the great Dame DeLuise,
I look like a turd.
You're gonna drink milk? Yeah. Aren't you afraid it's gonna curdle when it hits your liver?
the legendary duo of Dean Martin and Sammy Davis Jr.,
My liver died last year.
Jackie Chan,
Jackie! JJ! Cannonball! I got it.
Jamie Farr,
I have a weakness for blondes and women without mustaches.
Jack Elam,
Right now, open up there.
and Mel Tillis,
This is humiliating as hell. Oh, I'm sitting up here.
joined by new cast members led by legendary actress Shirley MacLaine.
We're here to help you win!
MacLaine was fresh off her Oscar-winning performance in Terms of Endearment.
Imagine you having a date with someone where it wasn't necessarily a felony.
Ricardo Montalban,
You son of my ugliest wife.
Richard Keel.
$1 million.
What do you think, Papa?
Catherine Bach and Susan Anton.
I think we're ready for the cannonball.
Oh, yeah, I think so.
Telly Savalas.
You girls ever hear in there?
Jim Neighbors.
Golly.
Tony Danza.
No. It's your turn. You feed him.
The world's least convincing mobster, Charles Nelson Riley.
You know, you have a very big mouth.
Don Knotts and Tim Conway.
Pardon me, sir. We're,
And Burt's Men Who Loved Women co-star Mary Lou Henner.
We're affiliated together in the Order of Immaculate
Chastity.
I play Shirley MacLaine's sidekick. The two of us are the actresses. We're dressed as nuns when we meet the guys, and we become part of the cannonball race and take our habits off halfway through.
Charlie's Angels star Jacqueline Smith was originally cast in the Shirley MacLaine role, but fearing the amount of improv involved, she dropped out, and less than a week later, MacLaine arrived on set.
You got a full tank of gas in here?
Please be careful with it.
This was not Catherine Bach's first time appearing in a Burt Reynolds film, although they don't share any scenes together. Bach appeared in 1975's Hustle.
Daisy, how do you expect a feller to do his work with a pretty girl like you standing over him smiling?
Bach is probably most famous for playing Daisy Duke on the TV show The Dukes of Hazzard, a show that most would say tried to capitalize on the success of Smokey and the Bandit.
I don't know whether I said I took the blame for the Dukes of Hazzard because of Smokey and the Bandit. I think I did say I took the credit a couple of times.
Along with playing Victor and Captain Chaos, Dom DeLuise also plays mob boss Don Cannelloni, who behaves and speaks like the Godfather.
When I passed on the powers of the Don to my son Don, making him Don.
Producer and co-writer Al Ruddy was clearly spoofing his Oscar-winning film.
This cat is dead.
Surprisingly, there really isn't too much racing in Cannonball Run II. The movie's main plot involves gangsters and a plan to kidnap the Sheik for ransom.
This better work, Tony. Obviously, you are a damsel in distress.
Like in the first movie, director Hal Needham has his cameo role. He's the driver of a Porsche 928 wearing a cowboy hat, whose car is crushed by the monster truck Bigfoot, driven by owner-creator Bob Chandler. Hal's red Ferrari 308 GTS seen here was also used in the first film.
Yoo-hoo! Hey, honey!
And this red Lamborghini Countach was owned at the time by Catherine Bach's Dukes of Hazzard co-star John Schneider. Cannonball Run II is probably best remembered for being the final big screen collaboration of Rat Pack members Frank Sinatra,
Get up.
Dean Martin, and Sammy Davis Jr.
The last time I saw Frank was on the set, Cannonball Run II.
Mr. Sinatra?
You may call me Frank.
I can call him Frank.
Not yet.
It turned out to be the last movie he did.
Get me Don.
I was fortunate enough this year to do a picture with Frank. Well, I wouldn't say do a film with Frank. I mean, he worked one day.
Frank flew in on his own jet at his own expense.
It's only money.
His first one on the set. Frank was in a good mood, joking with everybody. Sammy Jr. and Dean Martin were there, making him laugh.
Frank, can't you see we're busy?
That's why I want to get a head start. See you in Connecticut.
The 1984 Dodge Daytona Turbo Frank Sinatra is driving in the race was one of his own personal cars.
I am here to participate in your little jaunt to California.
Sir Roger Moore was again offered the role of Seymour Goldfarb, but turned it down, feeling the joke could go no further.
Roger Moore.
He later regretted that decision after finding out that Frank Sinatra would be in the film.
You are killing me, Seymour.
Molly Pecan, who played Seymour's mother, did return for this sequel, but only in this short and memorable scene.
Would you boys like to stay for dinner?
Molly was best known for her role as Yenti in the classic film Fiddler on the Roof. Richard Kiel played Jaws in the Roger Moore James Bond movie The Spy Who Loved Me. This film featured a car that could drive underwater, just like the car in The Spy Who Loved Me. And also they play the Jaws theme, a nod to his character's name. You might spot American football legend Joe Theismann wearing a Skull Bandit cap here.
Honey, I got a tool that'll fix anything.
Isn't somebody going to say cut?
This was the last Burt Reynolds movie of the 1980s to feature outtakes during the closing credits.
Now, if your mother could kiss like that,
Yeah. Don't you want? Sir. Oh, shit. If I wasn't getting a lot of money. Sorry, we got this. Cannonball Run II. Don't get it from the ground. What am I going to get?
we're not taking those nuns off.
What's the matter with you? Sir, the Cannonball is a race from Connecticut to your ass.
I was in Cannonball, too.
It was the greatest thing to see was that Burt did all his stunts.
Yeah, well, you have to do that when you got a lousy script.
The critics were brutal in their reviews of this movie.
It's time for a Siskel and Ebert Burt Reynolds shitty film review.
Wow. Cannonball Run II is every bit the disaster that I thought it was going to be.
Oh, certainly.
This film is absolutely the pit. It is a complete mess. So the race is run at the end of this picture, unbelievably, in a cartoon sequence.
That's the moron.
Cannonball Run II is a total ripoff that gives movies a bad name.
I was the first guy to come on and say, the picture sucks.
It's a real bad movie, and you know, it's really sad what Burt Reynolds is doing with his career.
We were just wondering if you could give us a little advice on our careers.
Here's a guy with talent who's been in some good pictures.
Jury's still out on that.
To expect anyone to spend $5 for this garbage is amazing.
And my money's going to be gone before I even get to the car.
His fans did not go to see this film.
No shit.
No shit. They knew it was a skunk from the word go.
When I was number one, I get the worst reviews I've ever gotten in my life.
This movie is as close to zero as you can get. I really don't like this guy.
And that was just another pointless sequel that didn't have to be made.
Siskel hated it so much they named it in their stinkers of 1984.
Did you see Cannonball Run II?
No.
Hey!
That was the second worst film of the year.
Really, that was?
Yeah, I thought so.
You failed.
I didn't give a shit so much that if I met you during those years, I'm sorry.
And that's the end of this Siskel and Ebert Burt Reynolds shitty film review.
Cannonball Run II raced into theaters the same day as Arnold Schwarzenegger's Conan the Destroyer. It opened in third place behind Ghostbusters and Gremlins, both in their fourth week, but ahead of Conan.
Hey, did you see that picture where the bad guys get the last request?
I'd like a wine list.
Even though the film wasn't a huge hit, the impressive cast assembled for the time was an amazing accomplishment.
That's who Burt was. He was able to just galvanize people. He got them all on board. Everybody loved him and wanted to do whatever he asked them to do.
Your money? I'll blow you away.
I'll take the money.
Everybody's jumping in because they all heard that we had a lot of fun on Cannonball 1, so they want to have some fun too.
The movie wasn't good, but we had a blast.
People have to realize is how difficult it is to be yourself and be interesting.
Hi, I'm Laverne.
And one of the ways that I've done it is to go so far into Burt and find something that hopefully is vulnerable and funny and yet self-deprecating. I've given a lot of myself away.
Before the start of his next film, things were not going great for Burt and Loni, and they took a short break.
He just told me that he was going back to Sally because she loved him more than I ever would, and so he was going to give that another chance.
One time we had an argument, and she said, you know, we're friends. So if I just leave now, we'll still be friends. And I said,
But the Sally reunion was short-lived, and they got back together during the filming of his next picture.
We went through many stages in our relationship. You know, there were a lot of times when I would think we had broken up, and then we'd get back together.
it's part of the wonderfulness of me.
In one of the strangest cameos you'll ever see, Burt and Dom can be seen here during an episode of The Mike Hammer Show in 1984. They have no lines and just sit here on a bus while bullets fly past them during a shootout. I mean, seriously, I'm an idiot, and I could have fed them any number of lies that would have killed in this scene.
How'd I get here? Goddamn son of a bitch! That's new. Shatterproof glass and there's no mirrors. Hi. Hi. Didn't you used to be on television selling land? A real TV star. Do you like me?
How'd I get here?
I can't get over it. Oh, shit. Do you think this country will ever switch to the metric system?
Something like that. It's a little better, no?
My major task is I must separate the filmmaker from the man who made Cannonball and Stroker Ace.
I don't give a shit.
It's the man who made Sharky's Machine.
Because you're fucking up my city.
And who's about to make another film. And that's the direction that I want to go in.
After reading Eleanor Leonard's 1992 crime novel, Stick, Burt was inspired to once again take a seat in the director's chair.
It was a book that I liked. Eleanor Leonard is a wonderful writer. And it also was about Florida, which I love.
And I hope that this is just the beginning of many Burt Reynolds films in Florida.
With Leonard writing the screenplay and Burt looking to move into directing full-time, this was the perfect project for his 40th film as an actor and 4th as director.
And the lead character was a character that I'd never played before. It was very much a Bogart, Garfield, Eastwood kind of character.
Things got off to a good start with a modest $15 million budget, so Burt assembled a talented cast, including Richard Lawson.
This gonna be some funny shit.
Jose Perez as Stick's little buddy Rainey.
Hold on, relax. What is it with you?
Vicky Frederick as Rory.
You're sweet. Very sweet. Could you do me a favor? Do you think you can maybe give me a ride home after?
Burt cast Sachi Parker, the daughter of his Cannonball Run II co-star, Shirley MacLaine, making her feature film debut as Bobby.
You call that guy short up?
He's a child molester.
I look like a child?
No, you don't. You remind me of somebody. My daughter.
Is that good?
Yeah, that's good.
I'm in a film that comes out in August with Burt Reynolds called Stick.
Best known for her role in Ghostbusters.
We got one!
Annie Potts.
I think half those guys at that meeting today are dealers. And you're there to get the dope on the dopers.
Bingo.
The great Charles Durning.
You don't have much there, do you? You should have an operation. Get yourself a set of double D's.
In one of his more colorful roles as Chucky.
Now, I didn't promise you 5. I promised it to the little spick, and he got himself dead.
Now, I wonder if Durning's Chucky inspired the serial killer doll in the 1988 film Child's Play.
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
Well, I'm not done with you.
Well, I'm done with you, you tub of shit.
Burt's starting over co-star Candice Bergen.
Good afternoon.
Incredibly intelligent, super talented.
If he threatens you, I'm going to tell him.
What?
I'm going to tell him something. I haven't worked it out yet.
And a very underrated actress because she's so pretty, and thank God I had the good fortune of being in a movie with her where she was nominated for an Academy Award.
I think it's really that as an actor, he knows the fear that actors have, and he knows what's involved in terms of making a fool of yourself in front of people and on film.
Nothing's that funny.
And I think what he gives you as an actor that's important is he gives you a safe place to take chances. Stigley, don't make promises you can't keep.
Trust me, you won't look silly on film. I just won't let that happen.
Be it ever so humble, there's no place like a $3.5 million home.
Playing Barry Braun, the great George Segal is a standout with his performance.
What is the last thing that goes through a bug's mind as it hits the windshield?
I don't know. What?
It's asshole.
From an actor's point of view, it gives you incredible confidence. Hey, it's worth another 100.
You got it. Hey, baby.
And he's a fast director. That means he'll print fast. He knows what he has, and he knows what he's got when he's got it.
Good for me. Got it.
Rounding out this stellar cast was Burt's longtime friend and stuntman, Dar Robinson, who was making his feature film acting debut.
What the fuck you looking at?
I never saw anybody with bunny eyes before.
I said, well, I want to be an actor. Okay, so I said, well, somewhere down the line, I'll find a part for you where you can act and eventually we'll blow you out of a window or something.
He's dressed up like some dipshit driver. Want me to take him out?
This script came along. Man, it wasn't a small part, it was a big part. I was concerned about whether he could do it, but I wasn't nearly as concerned as the studio was.
I'm on page 12 of this stupid book, and I don't get it. This is like one of those afternoon soap operas my wife Betty watches. What kind of a name is Ernest Stickley? Ridiculous! Who plays the heavy in this thing?
Well, sir, Bellbuster cast his friend and stuntman, Dar Robinson.
A stuntman? What else has he done?
Nothing, sir. This will be his first ever movie.
First role? I don't know if I like that. You mean he can say his lines and then throw his ass out of a window?
Yes, sir. And Burt said he'll be an albino to make him more menacing in the role.
Well, those pasty, white, dead-eyed fuckers scare the shit out of me. Perfect villain. Just make sure that sumbitch saves the big stunt for last. Can't afford to do reshoots if this shit goes bad.
It's okay. I'll take it. I want to say hello to Nectar anyway.
And when I finally made up my mind that he was going to do it, there wasn't anybody that could talk me out of it.
Dar shot me in this eye, and
in an accident that nearly cost Burt his eyesight, Dar shoots at him after being thrown from a van.
he was going backwards and he tripped, and the full load hit me in the eye.
The blank from the gun hit Burt in the eye, knocking him out, and he had to be rushed to the hospital by helicopter.
Do you want a bigger one?
No. Legally blind in this eye.
Just like in Sharky's Machine, Dar Robinson was the highlight of the film's big finale.
I said to him, Dar, I want you to do something in this picture that I don't want just to fall. I want something spectacular. And what are we going to do? I don't want something that's been done before. And he said, okay.
So from the 22nd floor of this Miami building, Dar got to work on what would be Moki's spectacular death scene.
And then the stunt became so dangerous it was beyond belief, because he was going to go off this building backwards with no airbag.
Preparation and rehearsal would take weeks. Not only did Dar have to focus on his very first acting role in a major studio film,
Where's Stick?
but now was planning his most death-defying stunt to date.
Gary,
Yes, sir.
we're secure here. Let's go for our first test.
He had this incredible ability to almost be alone in thousands of people.
Kenny, how high are we off the ground?
We're like 10 feet.
That's too close.
I mean, he was able to just his concentration of who he was, who he thought he was.
Roll camera.
And I think he was right about who he thought he was. He was a very confident man.
From a lower floor, Dar tests the now fully engineered jump with only a wire attached to his ankle and chest. This complex hydraulic system decelerates his velocity in the final seconds of the fall.
Give me a hand, you son of a bitch!
With all the principal photography completed, the studio allowed for one of their main cast members to perform the stunt.
Why don't you push real hard? You might hit the water.
The big-budget feature could never have gotten insurance otherwise.
I felt very strongly that maybe I'd bitten off more than I could chew. I was getting very, very concerned about it. And I kept trying to read something in his eyes, that would tell me that this is not a good idea, but there wasn't a hint that he had a second where he didn't think this was going to go off to perfection. There wasn't a doubt. There also wasn't a doubt that it was unbelievably dangerous.
Okay, I'll take a minute to myself.
Everybody test the cameras, please.
Anybody who says that they're not afraid of this type of work is either foolish or crazy. I don't want to get on the rail until we are ready, just in case I get a slip.
I understand. Okay, we're going to bow our heads and take a moment of prayer.
And whether you believe in the man upstairs or not, this is for Dar, okay?
In a moment of silence and prayer, Burt leads the crew before this very dangerous stunt.
Okay, he said he's ready.
Okay.
And I remember just before he did it, he said, should I empty the gun on the way down? And I thought, no, don't think about the gun. Just do whatever you got to do. And he said, no, I think this guy would empty the gun.
So with Dar's focus on his most dramatic scene, along with timing for the fall,
roll all your cameras, please.
He had all the faith in the world for his crew to help as he falls 20 stories toward concrete.
I tell you, my heart was in my throat. I mean, it was unbelievable. It was scary, it was thrilling, and I think every guy in the crew felt the same way I did.
Thanks, pal. Give me the opportunity.
Everybody felt like we'd all been a part of something that was quite unique.
Was a rush? It was a rush. I was busy working. I was worried. I didn't know what position I was going to be in. I have no idea. I think I kind of cuffed it and just kept this part of my body like this still.
Well, you were working all the way down.
I fired all 6 shots.
I know.
Dar Robinson was killed doing a routine stunt.
Following Stick, Dar went on to do several pictures, none bigger than Lethal Weapon. But in November of 1986, he'd work on what would be his final stunt for the film $1 Million Mystery.
Dar was on a motorcycle coming around a corner. He lost it, rolled down the hill, hit a rock, and busted his spleen. And they had no chopper there, which is generally the rule. They should have if they're doing stunts. They put him in the car, and a friend of mine was in the car with him. And halfway to town, he said to the guy, I'm buying the farm. And he passed away.
Director Richard Donner dedicated Lethal Weapon to Dar at the close of his film, released 4 months after his death.
I wanted his name on that screen. I just wanted to say thank you, Dar, in the inventiveness and the creativeness that he brought to stunts. And when it came to being in the hands of a Dar Robinson, that was it. He was the one and only.
He was very aware of the fact that someone will probably come along and jump higher, jump faster, further. He was aware of that. But for the time that he was here on this earth, he was the best. And he knew that.
Burt Reynolds is Stick.
As filming wrapped and Burt turned in his 4th directorial effort, he was proud of the work and stayed true to Elmore Leonard's book and screenplay.
I'll say goodnight.
With an August release date more than 6 months ahead, it was time for Burt to move forward with his next exciting project.
The 45th Annual Academy Awards presentation.
Thou shalt have full disclosure. Come on, flip the card, man. This isn't my bag, I'll tell you.
Burt had an unprecedented run as the #1 box office star, but after a handful of poorly received films, he was finally defeated by his old friend, the great Clint Eastwood.
It's 5 years, which I really don't know if anybody will ever do that again. Not because it was so hard to do, but because people don't make that number of movies anymore.
He had a love-hate relationship with that historic run, but over time, appreciated the fact that nobody would ever repeat such success.
It's a rather precarious place to be in the sense that you've got to take a lot of shots at you. You feel a lot of heat. I don't miss that craziness, that circus atmosphere. What you miss is power. There's a tremendous amount of power, which is very seductive power to say, I think tomorrow I'll do a picture about a monkey. But at the time, you don't realize that you have that power. I didn't realize it. I didn't abuse it because I didn't know I had it.
With Clint Eastwood's triumphant return as Dirty Harry Callahan and sudden impact, Warner Brothers was ready to make a huge pitch to their new #1 box office champion.
Gentlemen, I'd love to put this sumbitch in 15 more of them Dirty Sanchez movies, but we need to think bigger. What you got for me?
Well, now that Clint's #1, how about we put him in a movie with the #2?
A #2? You mean like a hot, steamy dump? Well, that sounds like Oscar bait.
Well, I mean, the last actor to be #2. We'll put him in a movie with Burt Reynolds.
The bandit guy? You mean like Dirty Harry meets the bandit and Clint shoots the shit out of the Trans Am with his Smith & Wesson?
Maybe something a little more classy, sir?
Classy, huh? Deliverance 2, maybe. Put them sumbitches in a canoe and let them get their revenge on that toothless butt-banger guy.
We have Blake Edwards who worked with Burt on The Men Who Love Women. And he has a script for them, sir.
Another car chase picture. Any broads in it? Gotta have tits and ass, you know.
It's a prohibition comedy, sir. Blake wrote it with the two of them in mind.
Perfect. Set up a meeting. Get those boys together.
Yes, sir, you got it, sir.
Now, fuck off.
Over the years, Clint and I had talked about working together. Finally, at the end of 1983, Blake Edwards, with whom I had recently worked on A Man Who Loved Women, approached us with Kansas City Jazz, a prohibition comedy he'd written especially for us. Unfortunately, the first meeting between Clint and Blake fared only slightly better than that of Custer and Geronimo.
It's called Kansas City Jazz. What do you think?
Well, that sounds a little gay.
Okay. How about City Heat?
That's a little better.
Oh, good. We've got a picture?
Well, what is that shit on the table?
Oh, that's caviar and champagne, of course.
Really? Well, I don't think I like you much. Meeting's over, weirdo.
Burt was excited to finally work with Clint, and they even cast Mary Lou Henner to play Addie, the private investigator's secretary.
I think that movie was marked from the beginning to be a difficult situation.
Clint loved the project, but there were still some minor details to be worked out before the film would become a reality.
Mr. Eastwood, we got you your beer and pretzels you asked for. Now, what else do we need to do to lock up this picture?
Well, I need a lady friend, I guess. I'd like to see my girl Sandy, get that socialite part, you know? The one who ends up with Burt.
I understand, but you see, Blake wants Kim Basinger in that role, and he thinks that girl can win an Oscar one day.
Well, you know what, you chubby bastard? He also thinks fish eggs make for a good meal. What about the other lady part?
We got Mary Lou Henner for that role. You know, she was great in Taxi and also in Burt's last film.
I'll tell you what. Why not replace me with Julie Andrews and call this piece of shit The Man Who Loved Women Part 2?
Oh.
In order to salvage this mess, they agreed to avoid working with previous cast members. So, Kim Basinger, Mary Lou Henner, and Sandra Locke were all out. But ultimately, Clint and Blake were not a good match, so they needed to go in another direction.
Clint wanted to get rid of Blake and wanted my opinion of Richard Benjamin. I didn't know him, other than I loved my favorite year, his first outing as a director 2 years earlier.
You're so insecure, it's unbelievable.
Burt worries the thing a bit, you know, and wants to know, but very open and just a kind of a good guy.
Clint called him Benjamin. I said his first name is Dick. Yeah, Benjamin.
And I said to Clint sometimes, let's do that again. And he would say to me, why? I said, he said, I'll be glad to do it. He said, I don't think it's going to be much different.
No, that's the way Clint wanted it, so that's the way it is.
He's a real, you know, kind of economical guy.
And now with a new director on board, Clint brought in Joseph C. Stinson, who worked on Sudden Impact, to rewrite the script.
Look, Chubby, you just wait until you hear these great new lines that my buddy Joe wrote.
Well, he was wired to a cement block. The wire broke and he popped up in front of a seafood restaurant, much to the chagrin of the customers. Catch of the day.
Hey, that's funny. Laugh, fat man.
Hell of a guy. Came in second to you in the snotball pageant.
Well, that's a real knee slapper, fatty. The Pink Panther douchebag can eat my ass.
You're not gonna get out so easy. Well, maybe I'll use you as a shield. Line those goons of yours with your jammies.
Come on, lard ass. That shit's gonna have them falling out of their seats.
In the end, Blake Edwards' only on-screen credit was for story and screenplay under the pseudonym Sam O'Brown, the initials being S.O.B.
You some bitch!
The deal was structured in such a way that I don't get quite as much as Clint.
Burt and Clint agreed to produce the film together with their production companies Malpaso and Deliverance.
How did you figure out who was going to get billing?
We're fairly well known. Why don't we just put our first names and they'll know who it is, and we'll do it alphabetically.
We flipped for it.
Yeah.
And I landed on my back.
Early on in the production, it became clear that Clint was making most of the decisions on this picture.
I shot something in a car, kind of an important scene. There was a negative scratch. And I said to Clint, you got to see this. I mean, this thing is bad. Forget about it. He said, this film plays, it runs 2 times through a projector. That isn't going to be the only thing. And it's in there. He just runs at it and doesn't make a big deal out of everything.
Joining Burt and Clint was an extraordinary cast that included Richard Roundtree.
There ain't nothing left but the good times.
Burt's old roommate, Rip Torn.
Exterminate this pest.
His former at-long-last love co-star, the great Madeline Kahn.
You okay?
Hell no! My hair's a mess. I don't have my makeup.
Irene Cara, who can also be heard on the soundtrack album.
Get your troubles and just get happy.
And of course, Burt's little buddy, Alfie Wise.
No reason to kneel. We're not in church.
I play a private detective and he plays a cop. We were cops together, and then I decided to become a gumshoe, and he doesn't like me too much.
Had to look up gumshoe. I have no idea what that is. It says here it's a slang term for detective. Apparently shoes in the late 1800s were made of gum rubber meant for sneaking around quietly. I never knew that.
First night of shooting was magical. Timing was perfect, the jokes were working, and everyone was having fun.
I'm not disturbing you, am I? I got a situation here.
I had no doubt that the picture was headed in the direction I'd hoped Clint and I agreed on. Set in the diner, the scene was perfect. Exciting, visually sharp, a great beginning, except for one major setback. I got hurt. The injury not only affected the rest of the picture, but in many ways, it altered my life forever. It was an accident. It occurred when one of the two enormous guys I had to fight, neither of whom were very great stuntmen, clobbered me on the side of the head with a heavy metal chair. He was supposed to use a breakaway chair made of balsa wood, which was how it was done in rehearsal.
Jeez, sorry. It's a pretty standard stunt.
Yet me right here broke all this.
Intense, severe pain.
Well, it didn't feel good.
A blinding headache, blurred vision in my right eye, and something going on in my jaw.
Every time I talked, it clicked, but I kept working.
I took a load of Excedrin PMs, and I got a couple of hours of sleep. When I awoke, I knew I was in deep, deep shit.
The computer for the brain's right here. You start having all kinds of strange things happening, like your temperature goes up and your equilibrium goes off and all that.
I've been excited about working with Clint. Damn it, I was determined to finish the picture. I called my doctor. I got compazine pills for the nausea. I'd deal with the pain.
It was unfair to him that I would do that. Go ahead and finish the picture. I should have said, I'm in trouble and I should just drop out. But I didn't. You know, you try to be a trooper and finish and all that, but I shouldn't have. It was bad in every way. I wasn't helping my friend. I was hurting him.
He was just terrific to me. I adored him before I did the film, but now after working with him, I like him even more.
I would really be sick. And Clint would say to you, Benjamin, I'm sick. Let's wrap it. I would just tear up and he'd throw me in a car and I'd go home. But I mean, he did that 5 times. And that's not just a friend. That's somebody you never ever forget.
By the third week of shooting, Burt's timing was off as he was loaded up on painkillers. Most of the time, he would just sit still until it was time to shoot.
Just trying to stand upright and not vomit consumed all my concentration. I wasn't interested in contributing creatively, discussing stunts, dialogue, comedic gags, nothing. I just wanted to finish the film so I could spend whatever conscious moments I had at home battling the constant pain and nausea and ringing in my ears.
I didn't go to the hospital and shut the picture down. And instead, I just took pain pills and finished the picture.
My weight dropped from 200 pounds at the start to about 150 pounds. My face was thin, haggard. I had a pasty look. My cheeks were sunken.
In order to hide Burt's weight loss, he's mostly seen in his overcoat.
I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow you out!
In this fight scene, his character is dressed in a big bad wolf costume, probably to hide the fact that that isn't Burt.
Later, Spirit, later!
I felt terrible because Clint and I were such close friends, and I ruined the movie.
Although Burt took the blame for ruining the movie, it's difficult to ignore the turmoil surrounding the script issues, uneven tone, confusing subplots, and the overall missed opportunities having these two superstars on screen together.
Go on, Shorty. Yeah, I suppose so, Shorty. Right, Shorty? See you around, Shorty.
Clint refers to Burt's character as Shorty several times in the film.
You'll always be Shorty to me.
And although Clint has about 6 inches on him, Burt's not exactly Danny DeVito.
That's an 8 face.
Would have loved to seen Clint have a few better lines, maybe like this.
Talk to me when you can grow a real mustache.
Instead of Dirty Harry meets Sharky's machine, we kind of got this toned-down period piece with a sensitivity to foul language.
I don't give a chicken. The picture would have actually got a G rating because there's not one cuss word in the whole picture. Clint and I wanted it that way. We would have got a G, except that Clint maims and kills 195 guys.
Let me say this to you one more time. Do not kill anybody.
That's just in the opening titles.
This historic pairing of two legends assured Warner Brothers a golden ticket to an enormous box office return.
Clint Eastwood and Burt Reynolds in City Heat. Need we say more?
I said, are we going to, have any test screenings or anything? He said, what for? He said, do you like it? And I said, I do like it. He said, well, me too. So I said, what about the studio? He said, no. He said, we like it, right? And I said, yeah. He said, that's it. Let's lock it up.
It's time for a Siskel and Ebert Burt Reynolds shitty film review.
Well, here he is. We had to wake him up for this one, a real big stinker of the week.
City Heat may turn out to be the worst because it doesn't take a whole lot to be better than this junk.
So pathetic.
Which is an incomprehensible, needlessly violent, and terribly unfunny detective story.
You pathetic son of a bitch!
It's not funny.
You're supposed to flush that, not smoke it.
It's much too violent. And it doesn't make any sense.
What the hell does that make you now?
I was shocked by how bad City Heat is.
The ones that fascinate me are the new critics on television.
Well, I'll come down and pop your face inside out.
The ones who have become much bigger stars than we'll ever be.
A complete, shocking mess.
He sits there and rips everything to shreds.
Burt Reynolds playing a very modern-day Burt Reynolds, like he's just on the Johnny Carson show.
And I love it when they go, and on my scale, a 2.
2 big thumbs down for the shockingly bad stinker of the week, City Heat.
We did all right, huh?
And one of the worst movies either one of them has ever made, and that does include
Cannonball Run pictures.
When they give it a 2, one looks at this person and wonders when this person was born, if their mother exactly like a beaver. And you can take that any way you like.
I almost would have rather seen Cannonball Run II than City Heat.
Now that means this is a bad movie.
And that's the end of this Siskel and Ebert Burt Reynolds shitty film review.
Opening the same day as Beverly Hills Cop and the sequel to 2001 A Space Odyssey, City Heat debuted at a disappointing 3rd place at the box office.
No, I don't think they like me less. I think they probably like Eddie Murphy more.
Ultimately, I blame myself for the picture's disappointing performance in 1984. For Clint and I to come off effectively on screen as a macho odd couple, we would have to work with equal force. His natural rhythm required me to counterpunch with certain energy, a perceptible vigor, like Jack Lemmon, going against Walter Matthau. I had to dance while he stood still, like he did the first night of shooting. I didn't have it. And that'll always be one of my biggest regrets, because I know what Clint and I were capable of delivering.
Nobody out there but an old man walking his dog.
Well, that old man is Sergeant Lefkowitz.
Who's the guy in the dog suit?
I ruined the movie. Clint never complained about it, of course, and didn't allow it to affect our friendship.
Clint Eastwood would bounce back from City Heat with the Western Pale Rider the following year. But for Burt, it wasn't that easy.
I didn't work again for 2 years. I wasn't well enough to work, but nobody wanted me anyway. And it also meant that we'd never do a picture together again, because I'd ruined the one chance we had.
I think if you're at a certain level in this business and you've had the success that I've been blessed with, there comes a time when you trip for whatever reasons, but mostly for it just can't last.
After screening Burt's version of Stick, Universal hated the film and went into full damage control.
I don't know what the fuck I just sat through, but that's not the sequel to Sharky's Machine.
No, sir. It's a character-driven piece like the book. Didn't you read it?
I can't read every goddamn script. That's what you assholes are for. How are we gonna fix this?
Well, we can move our August release date, push it back to next year.
Do it. And where's that bandit guy? He's gotta reshoot this piece of shit and quick.
Well, sir, he just finished a film with Clint Eastwood, but he has been very sick. I'm not sure he can do it.
You kidding me? That guy's the toughest son of a bitch on the planet. What's he got, the shits? A little diarrhea?
A shattered jaw, sir. I hear he drinks all his meals through a straw.
Ah, horseshit. He'll do it. Get me somebody cheap to rewrite this boring-ass script. Betty, Get Burt in here right away.
So now it was up to Burt's agent to break the difficult news to him.
David, you have Mr. Reynolds on line 3.
Okay, Sally, close the door. Burt, you sweet, handsome bastard. Listen, buddy, I've got some bad news. You gotta get over to Universal and see the big guy.
What do I have to do that for? What the hell is going on?
He pulled the film stick. They hate it, buddy.
God damn it. Fucking ridiculous.
I know, I'm sorry, Burt. He's got some ideas how to fix it.
Fix it? There's nothing wrong with it.
I mean, it's probably just a couple of reshoots, some editing. It can't be that bad.
These assholes probably never even read the damn book.
It's not me, buddy. Sidney, he's a clueless moron.
Son of a bitch. These studio shitheads are gonna ruin my picture.
Listen, it's just gonna be better for your career, Burt, if you just do what Universal wants.
I'm in no shape to direct reshoots right now. This ain't gonna work.
Ah, shit. Poor son of a bitch.
Despite the fact that they had billboards, posters, trailers, and TV spots running,
You know what I came here to ask.
Universal scrapped the August '84 release date and brought Burt back to discuss their issues with the film.
I caught a freight train south about the time I thought I'd lose my mind.
Now, the first thing we gotta change is this music. I mean, not since Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid used Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head has a film sounded so weak and pathetic. We need something tougher there, Burt. Something that would make John Wayne proud.
What?
Now, let's skip forward to this scene. Great one, really intense. What the hell is this? Gotta lose that laugh, Burt. I mean, I was waiting for Captain Chaos to come out and start slapping the shit out of both of you.
Okay, I'll do it.
All right, now on to the training montage. I don't even know what to say, man. I mean, did you pick this song? What is that, Cheech and Chong? Who's singing that? Change that shit, too.
All right, I'll put something else together, I said.
Tell him what it was like to do 7 years in the world's biggest slammer.
Now, this one makes me a little uncomfortable. It's a little too close to home, if you know what I mean.
Did you ever have to, with other convicts?
Well, I had this chubby little roommate, sweet little guy, round. One night he brought home some Oreo margarine. It's one of the most memorable nights of my entire life. You and the old man ever tried that, Oreo margarine?
Now, nobody wants to hear about your gay prison sex. Gotta cut all that out.
Okay.
A foggy day.
And right after that, Steven Seagal starts singing. This is garbage. Get rid of it. I'm surprised you didn't have him sing over the training montage.
What?
Now, this one was a tough one for me because the hero needs to get laid, of course. But my secretary, Betty, even says that it's gratuitous. And I have no idea what that means, but it sounds bad. You gotta get it out of there.
Did you ever tell me your name?
No.
Well, whoever you are, you're very good.
Thank you.
Besides, you look like a Chippendales dancer with that bow tie on.
I don't like this shit.
Relax, we're almost done. Jump to Annie Potts. Listen to this.
Give me a break. Can you believe this piece of shit?
That voice, it kills me, Burt. I can't listen to it for more than 10 seconds without covering my ears.
I got that feeling.
I mean, you don't even bang her. She's so annoying and there's no sex. It reminds me of my wife. She destroys the movie. I want her cut out. Every scene.
This ain't gonna work.
You make this work. I mean, we need more Sharky and less Ernest Stickley. Horrible name. Just awful.
Go fuck yourself, Chubby.
I'm afraid I was right. I don't think I'm ready for you.
All right, one last thing. We gotta talk about this ending. That's pathetic, Burt. I mean, our hero needs to get the girl. Either that or he throws her off the balcony. You decide.
Some bitch.
Look, I'll get you everything you need to fill in all the gaps. Just bring me a higher body count and lose all that sappy shit.
You got it, fatty.
Thanks, Burt. Hey, eat something, you skinny bastard.
So Universal demanded that Burt reshoot portions of the film and re-edit it, reducing the humor and changing the ending. They brought in screenwriter Joseph C. Stinson, who rewrote City Heat to rewrite the second half of the film to add more action scenes, making the ending more upbeat.
Yeah, it's gonna be okay.
Along with adding a new subplot with Stick's teenage daughter.
Nice car, Dad.
Pretty fancy.
Isn't it a little obvious?
It's not hot. I'm a chauffeur. It's all legal.
right.
Also, the musical score was completely re-recorded to present a darker, more intense tone to the picture. As a result of the reshoots, Castello Guerrera, who had only appeared in a few short scenes,
you still owe me a life,
would now have his role as Nestor expanded to be the main villain in the picture.
You're a fool, Stick.
Saved all your letters. Both of them.
Also included in the reshoots making her big screen debut was Carrie Fisher's half-sister, Trisha Leigh Fisher, playing Stick's daughter, Katie.
Dad, I'm 15.
In what must have been a shocking disappointment to those who were cut from the film,
Got it. Realized for me. Great.
Burt had to make difficult choices in trying to make the film work with the new screenplay. As a result, all of Annie Potts' scenes were left on the cutting room floor.
Are you actually reading this? This is very nice.
Rory!
Also cut from the film was Barry Braun's mistress, Rory, played by Vicky Frederick.
God, I love you. Jesus.
Country western singer Tammy Wynette was to make her feature film acting debut in Stick, but her character never made it into the final version of the movie.
I have been and will be forever the biggest Tammy Wynette fan in the world.
As Burt filmed the reshoots, he was clearly not the same healthy Burt from a year ago.
What the hell you doing calling me a clown?
Well, I wasn't talking about you, pal. I was talking about your outfit.
He appears painfully thin in the new scenes, and although some of the audience didn't notice, many could see the difference.
Are you a foolish man, Stick?
I used to be.
At times, it seems he is really not playing the character in the same way.
Sit right here and listen to the ducks.
Burt's mustache and hair seem different as well. But most of all, his weight loss, especially in his face, shows the contrast between the new scenes and the ones shot before his injury.
I worked through a lot of pain. City Heat was all right because I had cleansed it. But on Stick, it was over. I'd lost it by that time. I was down to 150 pounds.
When I reshot the film, I was just going through the motions. I'm not proud of what I did, but I take responsibility for my actions.
I'll clown all over your ass, you fuck with me.
All I can say, and this is not in way of a defense, is if you liked the first part of Stick, that's what I was trying to achieve throughout.
You got some balls. That's what everybody says.
With Burt's agent convincing him to go along with what Universal wanted, his vision was compromised during one of the most challenging times of his life.
I gave up on the film. I didn't fight them. I let them get the best of me.
As the film no longer focused on the characters and relationships, the poster was changed to a more traditional action theme, promising what the reshoots delivered.
We've had problems with it, and we've gone back and reshot about 3 scenes, hopefully to make it a little more commercial.
As the film ends, the Anne Murray song, I Don't Think I'm Ready for You, plays over the end credits of both versions of the film. The song was co-written by Burt and was specifically meant for his original version of the movie.
I don't think I'm ready for you.
The lyrics fit perfectly with Candice Bergen walking away from Burt, realizing he was not the man for her. But used here in the final theatrical release, it no longer makes sense for this happy ending. With the two laughing and ultimately embracing for their final moments on screen. Perhaps they should have just thrown out the end credits song and gone with the more traditional outtakes instead.
Your friend of yours?
You should pay me now, yeah. You bozo have got some balls. You got some spaghetti hanging out of your mouth.
What do you want?
I want this. Hey, listen.
Can you get...
When Elmore Leonard finally saw the finished film, he absolutely hated it.
Even if I was involved in a movie like Stick, and I said unflattering things about it, it's because I didn't think it was a good movie.
Leonard was quoted as saying, "It's not what I wrote, it's not my book, It's not my screenplay.
I'm never too concerned with how closely the adaptation is. That's beside the point. I'm just hopeful that a good movie can be made.
He was particularly unhappy with George Segal's performance as Barry Braun.
Do you believe this guy?
Following the release in April of 1985, it wasn't just Elmore Leonard trashing the film, but most critics as well.
It's time for a Siskel and Ebert Burt Reynolds shitty film review.
You have a film that's going to be a low-life kind of picture, and it could be a hard, gritty thriller. Yeah. That would be interesting. Yeah. That's what the book is. Then they throw in all these comedy elements.
Huh? You know, I haven't seen anything like that since I was at my grandmother's house. She opened the refrigerator door, and the light came on.
Is that right?
Burt Reynolds directed this picture. What is he doing?
I never care. Oh, I started to say something really bitchy. Why should I resort to what he does? Not going to do it.
If you're going to buy a book like that, if you're going to option a book like that, do the book.
I have been known to say things about those people, and they do get PO'd. They write it down in their little book and say, oh, wait till the next one comes out.
Don't throw in comedy stuff like The Best Little Whorehouse in Texas with Charles Durning walking around.
Oh, nobody's smarter, nobody's slicker.
Or George Segal, who is one of my least favorite actors.
What do you call a boomerang that doesn't come back? A stick.
He may like my next film, maybe not.
You read one of these books that reads like a movie script. It's all there. The dialogue is there, the characters are there, the settings are there. Why transform it by taking basically a good book and turning it into something unbelievable on television? Unbelievable.
You know, somebody's always being nice and saying, look what they said about you. And then if you say, well, I don't want to see that, they say, well, let me read it to you. You should get out of the business and go into another line of work.
The wasting of material. It is a waste.
And that's the end of this Siskel and Ebert Burt Reynolds shitty film review.
Stick opened at number 1, his first to top the list since The Best Little Whorehouse in Texas, knocking Police Academy 2 from the top spot. But as the bad reviews rolled in, the film dropped to 7th place in its second week.
It was a real character study before, and I think it probably would have been a wonderful piece of film for me, but wouldn't have done a lot of box office because it didn't have a lot of action in it. But now it's loaded with action.
In the end, the studio got what they wanted, but for Burt, his health had deteriorated in this, his most difficult period of his life to date.
After Stick, I'm going to lie down for a while.
His original version of the film continues to sit on a shelf somewhere while adoring fans wait patiently for its official release.
I spent almost every day curled up in the fetal position. I prayed for an end to the suffering. For 2 more years, I'd be in my own private hell. You get headaches. You can't focus on anything. A light bothered me. I couldn't look at television. I couldn't eat. I couldn't chew.
You have deep depressive highs, low lows.
In May of 1984, Burt flew to Fort Lauderdale for the opening of Burt and Jack's, a restaurant he opened with his friend Jack Jackson. But he never made it to the restaurant.
Nauseousness, weak on arriving. I skipped the festivities and I had to go to bed. Hotel doctor, summoned late at night, gave me a shot of morphine to relieve the pain, and he told me I needed to sleep. Take some of these, he suggested. Put in a small bottle on the nightstand. It had something new, Halcyon. Well, I popped 3 Halcyon.
Wait a minute.
Miraculously, as the Halcyon started to relax me, my jaw quit hurting. The first time in months, I fell in love with something that would prove to be the only drug in my life that would rule me.
Halcyon is a terrible pill. What I found out was when they gave me a couple of Halcyon to sleep, it relaxed the jaw enough that the pain went away for the first time. So I took them to go out. I said, let me have 10 Halcyon and I'll go do that speaking engagement.
It was the only thing that took the pain away.
Of course it didn't feel pain. It didn't feel anything. It put you out. I was a zombie, but I didn't care. I would have done anything for relief. I kept taking Halcyon. My tolerance went up, but I was sleeping longer and longer.
The only time Burt left his bed was to see a new doctor, and he traveled all over the country looking for a cure.
Every diagnosis pointed to the same problem, TMJ.
The temporal mandibular joint is a double-hinged joint on either side of your lower jaw where it connects to the rest of your mouth, allowing for movement in all directions.
There's no real known cure. Some people actually kill themselves after years of nausea and pain.
Open your mouth.
Burt was presented with several options, including therapy, along with specially designed dentures to help stabilize his jaw.
So I went to a dentist, and they all told me that I could wear these things and work. You know, you tell me if this would be a problem. I don't think it would be a problem. I can speak well. You can understand everything I say. I said, try to make something a little more realistic.
That is a little too obvious, yeah.
Well, of course I could work with these. No problem whatsoever. And every once in a while, they slip. Oh. And you go, buonasera, buonasera, buonasera. I think for $35,000 is steal.
The medication that he took didn't seem to do the job. So if the doctor said take 2, he's going to take 5. If he said take 5, he'd take 10.
Sour shit.
By this time, Burt was taking an enormous amount of pills just to make it through each day.
When you're a celebrity and you do have an addiction or a problem and there's a need there for that, there's always somebody around who will get what you need, even though your own doctor will not prescribe it for you any longer.
When it got to where blinding headaches, ringing in my ears, and dizziness prevented me from seeing, reading, and thinking straight, I signed over power of attorney to a new business manager. We had come up with a new chain of restaurants called Po Folks. I jumped on board, and we expanded with great success in Florida.
See, Po Folks is only in the South. And what they do is they write the menu like you Po, because you Po, it must mean you're stupid.
I used to own a few of them.
Yeah, so?
Now there's a rumor about Burt Reynolds. The rumor is Burt Reynolds has AIDS.
It was so unfair, and it was during a time when AIDS was talked about.
My deteriorating health somehow gave rise to the rumors that I was dying of AIDS.
I think it was started originally by someone as a joke.
I think that there's a feeding frenzy, that there's a story here, and it's too good of a story for them to let go.
If you don't talk to those guys, they just sort of make up their own story.
You got it.
I'd pull fire out here, and another fire would start there. I was in hospitals in this place, and hospitals in that place.
I was in Acapulco for vacation and fun and sun, and it was reported that I died. Somebody has to have some kind of credibility. I would think when they call up and say he died, I wouldn't think they'd just say, print that. No, I would think they'd say, who is this calling, you know? Yeah. But say, give me that, son of a bitch! I've been trying to be very social lately just to show that I'm not dead.
It was around this time that Burt walked away from the starring role of the film Power, directed by Sidney Lumet and co-starring the great Gene Hackman. He was replaced by Richard Gere, who can be seen here with his Burt-style mustache.
I physically didn't think I could do it. I had done too many pictures in a row. It's still taken its toll on me. I was too thin, too tired. But it was because it was such an important project. I didn't want to go into it at 80%. I just told Sidney, I'll show up. I'll be at 80%. I'd like to be at 110.
It was an interesting time. That's when you find out who your friends are. And they left. They left in droves.
Loni stood by Burt during this time, and in his autobiography, My Life, Burt said that he looked to her for strength.
Personally, Loni was sensational. Somebody should write how much class and dignity she had through all this.
Unfortunately, during that time, Burt was abandoned by many who he thought were his friends.
There were a lot of people that didn't show up during that 2 years, but I saved so much money in Christmas cards. There were a lot of people that surprised me and did. Clint Eastwood, who, not that I'm surprised that Clint was so supportive, but it isn't well known that he's this humanitarian, which he is.
What helped really was Johnny Carson.
Number one, I'm not dying.
He is not dying.
Well, I may be dying, but I'm not dead.
You're not dead.
I went on that show, and we made jokes about how skinny I was.
Burt was sick. He wasn't. He was having trouble. People say he was ill. He had that inner ear problem. He lost his balance. How many girls did you fall off?
Then God's mighty wrecking ball found more of me to hit. The Poor Folk restaurant chain went belly up.
It was a bad, bad time. Shit. I lost everything.
As bad as things were, Burt finally got some relief from his pain and suffering, starting with a visit to the House of Hearing Institute.
They inserted little plastic tubes in my ears. Instantly, my nausea and dizziness vanished.
Over the next few months, Burt worked with dental specialists to help with the alignment of his upper and lower jaw, the final stage of his recovery from TMJ.
With the pain and nausea all but gone, I got completely disgusted with myself. Unbeknownst to everyone except Loni and perhaps a few really close friends, I was hooked on drugs.
I took painkillers because I liked them.
You got any perks? Yep, sure.
It took away the pain, which was important at that time.
It really put you in la-la land. To numb the pain, I received occasional shots of morphine. But more worrisome,
Well, make sure you don't give him any more of those goddamn pills.
I gobbled up to 50 Halcyon. I realized that's insane.
Not only had Burt become dependent on pain meds, he was about to find out that his investments weren't exactly growing his fortune.
The poor folks left me millions of dollars in the hole. Nobody had wanted to tell me the news when I was flat on my back. I'm way over 40 and I'm broke. I got about $52 in the bank right now. I had to generate income, but I couldn't do that while I was on drugs. Halcyon beat me very near death.
Burt decided to try to go cold turkey from his Halcyon addiction and went back to his home in Jupiter, Florida.
Nobody knew I was home except my assistant.
When the security guy called me, he says he's just not talking. He's just sitting in a chair. I called his manager to let him know because I always had to do that because of the publicity. He said, well, you can't go to the hospital. You can't. I said, well, I'm not going to sit here and watch him die. You going to come in and do that?
Rushed to the hospital, I sank deeper into the gray netherworld that divides life and death.
He was going through a withdrawals from medication because he was clearing things up.
By the time Loni arrived, my heart had sputtered to a near standstill. Several times, it had slowed to where the doctor suggested it might be time for her to say goodbye.
The doctor said to me in the hospital, I'm afraid he's not going to make it through the night. And I thought, don't you dare die.
Loni got up from my bed and told the doctor about my addiction to Halcyon. Doctor jumped on it. He just found the missing link. A shot of liquid Valium jump-started my heart. By the next day, I was out of a coma.
But they've got it now in some hospital rooms. You are in control of the pain.
This shit is great.
Why would anybody leave there?
I love this fucking place.
Gotta be careful with that.
Days later, I sneaked out of the hospital in order to avoid vulture-like tabloid reporters. I checked out at 2 a.m.
Burt entered a detox program at his home as he slowly came off the pills.
Well, that's ridiculous.
Now healthy and having put back on over 30 pounds, Burt was anxious to get back to work, but was no longer considered a top box office draw.
I was down. When you can't get a table at McDonald's, it's not a good thing here.
Burt's fans were thrilled to see him recover and eventually get back to work.
I feel a lot better, and I appreciate all the people that have been concerned.
I sent you 5 get well cards, like to a million different addresses.
Oh, that's very sweet, honey. I really do appreciate it. The reason that I did get well is because of people like you.
After years of ruling the box office, the cold reality of Burt's film career was only a phone call away.
No, don't touch that. What are you, crazy? Hey, Burt. Hello? You what? And there you have it. Another chapter in the historic career of the great Burt Reynolds. Hey, Burt, any chance you could pull me up here?
Nope. Go fuck yourself, Chubby.
Well, once again, I want to thank all the viewers for their tremendous support, highlighted, of course, by those amazing comments that continue to help drive me to bring you the most comprehensive tribute possible. Damn, my arms are getting tired. Come on, buddy, help me out here.
Forget about it, Tubby. This is payback for the stick screening video you made.
Yeah, sorry about that one, Burt. Well, are you least excited for Chapter 9? You know, some fan favorites like Heat and Malone to be covered?
Sure. Can't wait until you start making fun of my hair.
Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next exciting chapter. Keep an eye out for a new feature where we'll take a look at some really old, rare interviews and television appearances together. Should be an exciting new series of videos here on the channel. I'd also like to thank my writing partner, Mr. Al Glasgow, who put me here, for his endless efforts and hours working with me on this series. You know, Burt, I need to close the show, you know? You know my signature gun-pointing motion when I say a douche? I'm afraid I might fall.
Why don't you push real hard? Maybe the I douche will save you.
Okay. Here it goes. I'll see you next time. Gator out.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to get notified about new videos and original Burt Reynolds content right here on the Gator McKlusky channel.